Hari Om Tat Sat. Welcome to Jyotirmayananda Society, a journey to self-realization. Please subscribe our channel for the mystical meaning of the scriptures and to enjoy daily satsang. We are currently exploring the book The Mystery of the Soul, Katha Upanishad, commentaries by Swami Jyotirmayananda ji, narrated by myself, Swami Nikhilananda. Currently, we are on chapter 1, section 2, mantra number 5. They have not received instructions from realized saints and sages, the worldly people going after the path of prayer or desires. Yet they guide others, they lead others, just as the blind leading the blind. The leaders and the led both fall into darkness. The man of desire are of two types. First, those who seek happiness by adopting visible means, and two, those who adopt invisible means such as the performance of yajna, etc., which generate adrishta or unseen potency that gives joys in heaven and after one's death. Those who do not believe in heaven deny the scriptural authorities. They follow the path shown by the ignorant ones. They are bahirmukhi, outgoing in nature. They believe only in perceptual realities. They want happiness and pleasure here and now. They take recourse to forbidden actions such as stealing, scandalizing, violence, etc., due to their attachments to son, wife, wealth, and possessions. They pave the way to hell. There are two types of sakamya karmis. Number one, those who perform actions in accordance with the scriptures, and two, those who perform actions prohibited by the scriptures. Both do not know the truth of Atman. The former, who perform virtuous acts, are likened to birds that fly in the air, to be caught again in the net spread by the fowler below. The virtuous aspire to the imaginary heavenly worlds, but the materialists vehemently deny the survival of the soul after the death of the body, and they condemn any act that is said to be conducive to the good of the departed soul. This is the guidance given by Lord of Death, Yama. O Nachiketas, these materialists have their gaze turned outwards. They are overpowered by lust, anger, greed, and other impurities. That is why they indulge in vain arguments denying the authority of the Vedas and the truth relating to the existence hereafter. They do not find any world apart from this visible world. They speak evil of the Vedas and indulge in diverse sinful deeds for the maintenance of their families and relatives. These men with outgoing visions come under the sway of death. Just as a fickle minded monkey ignores an archer who has an arrow ready for discharge on a bent bow, so ignorant men ignore the sway of death. But when the arrow pierces the body of the monkey, he becomes aware of his sad lot. Even so, man becomes aware of the tragic conditions of life only when the arrow of death makes him its target. Then, shot down by the arrow of death, he is thrown into hell to experience the fruits of sinful actions. These men with outgoing vrittis or thought waves believe only in the authority of the sense experiences. But reliance on sense experience is fallacious. A candle does not illumine in the daylight, but this is not true in the night. The candle does illumine at night. The infallibility of the sense experience is false. Sense experience, even like a candle, fades in the daylight of intuition. But acts of charity and the performance of sacrifices, virtuous people go to heaven by doing good things. But when they exhaust their meritorious karmas, they fall again into the trap of death and are reborn according to the nature of their remaining karmas. The performance of sinful deeds go to hell and are reborn. The people who are the performers of sinful deeds, they don't rationalize at that time. So, therefore, they go to hell and are reborn among the less evolved beings. The atheists consider the physical body to be the self. They do not believe in heaven or existence after death. They revile the Vedas in different ways. Moving on to mantra number 6. An ignorant person who is deluded by wealth and overcome by dullness does not behold the other world of liberation. He thinks this visible world alone is true. There is nothing other than this. Thus deluded, he comes under my sway again and again. So, those who are deluded by wealth think that this world alone is real, that the world consisting of one's wife, children, food, drink, and other sensual enjoyments alone exists. There is no soul apart from the physical body. No one has seen the soul passing from the body at the time of death. Further, these materialists hold the injunctions of the Vedas concerning the existence of Atman apart from the body are not words of God but concocted utterances of the skilled Brahmins who, out of greed for wealth, have misled the masses by such charming promises of life beyond the grave. The idea that gifts, sacrifices, as and offerings reach the departed souls is erroneous and fallacious. Because if it were true, a traveler need not carry with him food and other objects. His relatives at home could perform sacrifices and give gifts, and thereby the traveler would be satisfied. Since this is not possible in this practical world, how can it be so with sacrifices, etc., in the astral world? Nevertheless, it is possible that offerings of food, etc., can appease the forefathers by producing subtle potencies. These are the logic and thought processes they go through. Those aspirants who are desirous of doing good to themselves must avoid the company of these non believers and their arguments. Don't get stuck in listening to their logic. It is only very limited and only in the worldly realm. The words of the Vedas must be attended to with great reverence and faith. The spacious argument of the non believers cannot lead to the realization of the self. So, for this, you need qualified teachers, gurus, spiritual preceptors, holy men who are sincerely walking on this path. Two fallacies arise when one denies the survival of the soul after death. Number one is Krita Pranash, the destruction of action that is already done. Number one. And two, Akritro Bhagyam, meaning experience of the fruits of actions that have not been done. If a person is not reborn again, then all of the actions of this life shall be destroyed without bearing fruit, which is against any logical thinking. Further, one cannot explain the experiences of a child who has not yet performed any action and still either suffers or enjoys, as it is placed in different conditions of life. One is born in a king's home, the other one in a drug addict's home. Why? They are both innocent kids just born. So they are, the Shruti Vedas tell us, it is their past karmas that have created that merit or demerit for their condition, because the child at that stage hasn't done anything. It's his past. Therefore, it is an established fact that the reincarnation of the soul cannot be denied. The survival of the soul hereafter is perfectly true. Those who have performed good works during innumerable births hear the instructions from the realized sages and saints and attain the knowledge of Atman. The revelation of Atman through knowledge is a great wonder. This is shown in the next mantra, mantra number 7. Many do not find opportune conditions to even hear about them. Even having heard of him, many are not able to know him. It is a wonder to find one who is able to describe the nature of Brahman or the Self. It is rare to find one who has attained realization of Brahman. It is a wonder to find a skilled aspirant who has been taught by a knower of the self. So, such is this knowledge that it is quite rare in this world because most people are flowing towards pleasure, not good. O Nachiketas, the ignorant are deluded by the five kleshas. The five kleshas or painful situations is avidya, ignorance, asmita, egoism, raga, attachment, dvesha, hatred, and abhinivesha klesh, clinging to life, fear of death. Distracted by sin, they are not even able to hear of the divinity or Atman. Thus, to hear of Atman for them is very difficult. O Nachiketas, all beings at the time of sleep and death become one with the Atman, the indweller of the heart, who is the essential nature of men. They do not realize the self while awake due to pratibandha karmas or obstructive actions. So we will continue this journey in tomorrow's satsang with mantra number 7. Hari Om Tat Sat.